Hello my friends, welcome to PMP Exam Reset. Today I'm going to be showing you a few rules for PMP exam questions. Now, a while back, long time ago, I came out with a video for this same idea, but today I want to give you a fresh perspective. So we're going to take a look at certain questions, talk about what is fair game on the exam and what is not. Okay? Now, there's some basic things that are just straight up project management ideas that you should know to some degree. For example, a question like this. Okay, which is from way back, blast from the past, from the world of the PMI. And you're being asked, the Portfolio Steering Committee has requested an estimate within this threshold. Which technique should you use? Well, you got to know that for this is really more like a bottom-up estimate. And a bottom-up estimate will fall more into the category of option B. Okay, it's B. It's definitive. Okay, a question like this is fair game. It's not overtly predictive. It's just a technical kind of question, which you will not get a whole lot of anyway. Here's another one. You're working on a software project where all features will be developed by an internal project team of 20, an external team of 75 developers. What should you do to address the correct channels with the right information? So, again, just reading through the options. Which of these makes the most sense? The best option and the answer is to, of course, first of all, have a plan. Don't just do stuff, have a plan first. It's a very sensible answer to a question that may seem to be all over the place. Of course, you want to develop a plan, and then you can do whatever is best suited to the project based on the plan. Here's another one. You work for a rug manufacturing company in Georgia installing new cutting machines using smartphones and tablets to drive production. 3 weeks after implementation, the system is malfunctioning. What should you do first? Okay. So, taking a look at this, option A, use test scripts to resolve the issue. You should know that in the world of project management, that is very prescriptive to a technical solution immediately, which is not the best option. B says, review the defect report to identify and solve the issue. Well, what should you do first? You're not going to review any defect report because this talks about a system is malfunctioning. So it's not necessarily a defect report that's going to help you in this respect. C is a little bit presumptuous. It says submit a change request. Well, how can you submit a change request if you don't know what the problem is? So conducting a root cause analysis to find out what exactly is the matter makes sense. It wouldn't be preventive action and it wouldn't be defect repair, right? Because this is an entire system malfunctioning. And a system malfunctioning could cause, of course, many defects, but it's not a defect in and of itself. It's in need of corrective action. Okay, so the answer to this is D. Conduct a root cause analysis. This is a system malfunction, not a product, and likely not to have a defect report. So you need to understand what exactly is this change request about before submitting it. It's just part of a general mindset. Here's another one. Okay, if you need more time, hit the pause button, think about it, and choose an option and hear the rationale. You're working as a project manager for a manufacturing firm specializing in grade 8 construction bolts. You receive complaints that a consignment shipped to a customer is of the wrong weight and length dimensions. What tool or technique should you use to determine if something needs to be changed in the production line? So what makes most sense? 3, 2, and 1. So the best thing to do to determine if something needs to be changed in a production line is the control chart. It's used to determine if a process is unstable or not, if it's in control or not. So that would be the best thing to choose. Remember, we have the upper control limit, the lower control limit, upper specification limit, lower specification limit, and things like that. Being aware of those terms and what they mean and how they're used, it could be helpful. All right, here's another question. You're working on a $320 million budgeted construction project which will be executed in 3 phases. Your management team has asked you to prevent any costly mistakes associated with frequently performed tasks on the construction site. What should the project manager create to achieve this? All right, 3, 2, and 1. If you need more time, hit the pause button, but we're going to take a look at the answer to this one right now. Okay, the answer to this one, you guessed right, it's none other than a quality checklist. It's not KPIs, because KPIs would be after the fact. KPIs would be reactive. So to achieve this, you don't just want to create KPIs that you measure after the fact. You want a checklist that's going to help you. It says, a checklist is a structured tool, usually component-specific, used to verify that a set of steps has been performed or to check if a list of requirements has been satisfied. Okay, so this is the overall idea, my friends. You got to always ask yourself, what are they looking for? What makes the most sense? What makes the least sense? Okay, here's another one. This one, again, is a knowledge question. You're a project manager on a hybrid project using an Agile approach and in the process of costing work to be done. How would you likely proceed? Okay, so you got to watch the words. Using an Agile approach. 3, 2, 1. If you're using an Agile approach, you know that you do not fix scope, for sure, right? You know that you use a flexible arrangement when it comes to scope. However, you use fixed schedule and cost, a fixed time box. So the best answer to this is D, fixed cost. Okay, here's another one. You're a project manager on an Agile project involved in creating a new software application. A product owner delivers a report that the refactoring processes being used by the team is inadequate. What should the project manager do upon receiving this complaint? So again, which of these is in the spirit of Agile? So you wouldn't do A first, right? You wouldn't make changes and then follow the change control procedures. No, you follow change control procedures all the way. But that wouldn't be the case, because this is to do with the team. So would you meet one-on-one with the product owner and keep matters secret? No, you wouldn't do that. So you wouldn't do A, you wouldn't do B. C says conduct a retrospective in the absence of the product owner. Whatever it's suggesting, badly spelled as well, you would ignore that, because you shouldn't do things in the absence of any other team member. D says meet with the product owner and the team. Yes, that would be the good one. So the answer to that would be D. Okay, so some of these have trickery written into them. We've heard from people taking the exam. Oh, the questions were confusing. Some of the questions seem to have these errors in them. Yeah, those could all be red herrings. It'll throw you off. All right, let's take a look at just a couple more here and we'll be done for the day. You are a project manager managing a metro rail station remodeling project near Delhi to provide passengers with a better service and reduce waiting times for ticket purchasing. A stakeholder in the municipal government reports to you that information is lacking and asks you to give her the project status. What should the project manager do? What do you think? All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you got to watch the language here, my friends. If you need more time, hit the pause button, but it says a stakeholder, right? So we know that it's one stakeholder in the municipal government reports to you that information is lacking. So what would the best thing for you to do be? The best thing for you to do, is it to send a report to everyone? Or is it for you to refer to the communications management plan to make sure everyone is included in the first place? Or is it to check the communications management plan to ensure that the stakeholder who told you is included? Or is it to ask the stakeholder, are you checking your email? Well, you know it's definitely not that one. And you shouldn't just send out a status update to all stakeholders again. The right thing for you to do is to make sure is everyone included, right? And that's why the correct answer is B. It is important to ensure that all stakeholders being included in the communications management plan, not just a stakeholder who raised the issue. If there is one omission, be proactive and rule out others. So it's just common sense, being proactive. Why would you only check for that stakeholder when there could be others? See? All right, so we're down to just a final question here. The final one says, you joined in a company where you were given charge of a software project, replacing the former project manager. What should you do to begin guiding the team toward project success? All right, 10 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. All right, my friends. So the answer to this should be obvious. Thinking, as a project manager, what is the first thing I should do coming into a project? Do I just want to start turning stuff upside down and saying this is rubbish, this is nonsense, what on earth did she do, what did he do? No, probably not. The first thing you want to do is review your charter. Make sure that the charter is clear and concise. You've identified the goals. In order to successfully lead a project, the PM should first understand the project. What are the goals? What are the deliverables? It's that simple. Okay. Now, I really want to speak to those of you who are concerned. And you're writing me and telling me you're concerned about the exam. Some of you feel you're behind, you haven't done enough. Hey, don't be alarmed. You know the number one thing you need for this exam? The number one thing you need, above everything else, is a deep understanding, one, of how Agile works. What exactly is it, and the mindset, okay? So, Agile is going to be huge on your exam. I keep telling folks, if you haven't studied Agile, you should. And you should take it very seriously. And on the screen, you got a typical example of a question that could be from an Agile world. And that's why I highly recommend getting into Agile, getting into it, like really, really hugely. Another thing that is massive on the exam, in addition to Agile, it's not hybrid, like I was going to say Agile, hybrid. Yeah, put them all under the same umbrella, that's fine, but that's not really what I'm referring to. The really big thing that you need to know for your exam, and I'll continue to beat the drum until people stop worrying about predictive so much. But the thing that I really want to stress on the exam, the next thing is the mindset. Mindset is the next big thing on your exam. Mindset. You know the mindset mantra? I've covered it on this channel before. The mindset mantra is people. You got to understand the people language. That's one. The next mantra, you got to understand the process language. And you got to understand the circumstances that you could face in the world of process. You know the final one? It's not PMBOK Guide 6 or PMBOK Guide 7. It's business. You got to understand people, process, business. Those three things. So people obsessing over cramming and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with their materials. Why are you doing that? That's not what you should do. Just understand, as a project manager, what do I need to know from a people perspective? How do I need to act? How should I behave from a people perspective? What do I need to do from a process perspective, and then from a business perspective? These are the things you need to know. Okay? So, as I normally do, I want to run you through really quickly. If you've never watched my mindset videos before, this is for you, to help you to have a head check, to have a reset. All right? And I'm going to be giving you nuggets that you need to write down, maybe pages you need to look at as you go through all of this information. All right, the people piece of the equation. I want you to open up your book to the Agile Practice Guide. And you know what I want you to read? I want you to take a look at pages 49 and 50, because this is where we talk about the Agile Project Charter and we talk about the team charter. You got to know what's in that team charter, all right? So your mindset needs to be one of customer focus, customer obsession. Make your customer your primary goal. It needs to be one of team. Be a shield for the team. So again, in your Agile Practice Guide, this is going to be a day where I give you a lot of Agile Practice Guide stuff. You want to open up to chapter 4 and read entire chapter 4 especially on page 33 forward, where we have the servant leader mantra and mindset. So just a few things for you on page 33. Purpose, people, and process. Address your project in those ways. And then understand servant leader responsibility to facilitate, to remove impediments, to pave the way for others. Those are just a few of the brilliant things talked about in the Agile Practice Guide. So when we talk about team, servant leader, page 33. We talk about integrity. If you haven't read the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, do it. It's all about integrity, honesty, fairness, respect, and things like that. Advancement. How do you move the project forward? It's not by saying no. Don't say, no, we can't do that, stakeholder. Welcome changes, even late in development. Agile processes harness that change item for the customer's competitive advantage. So embrace that, right? Move the project forward. Trust the team. Be honest. No half-truth. Tell the truth even when it hurts. Be fair. If people are privy to information, let them have it. Remember, that's what a servant leader does. A servant leader defends the team. A servant leader is a diversion shield. And a servant leader facilitates conflict resolution. Okay? Leadership. Leadership is big. You got to have the courage to lead, make the tough decisions, have the tough conversations, and make trade-offs. Now, as you go into the exam, you got to remember that on page 50 forward, there are certain practices in the world of Agile. You need to be aware of those. All those practices that we carry out in the world of Agile, in Scrum or in other frameworks or Agile methodologies, you got to know them, okay? So leadership is big. Being a steward is also part of being a servant leader. Those resources entrusted to you, take care of them. Being a mentor. Mentor, coach, serve, guide the team, help the team. Identify when they need training. Identify where they need help, team building. Agility. This is huge. I mean, it's all over. What more can I say? I would advise you to really understand pages 8 and 9 of this book. Understand the values and the principles in the Agile Manifesto. And then on top of that, understand page 18 and 19. Be agile and adapt to be resilient. But you got to understand when you need to hybridize. For this exam, you got to be able to hybridize. All right, let's talk about process, okay? All of these terminologies, you need to know them. 1, you got to choose the right life cycle. 2, you got to understand change. Like that example we just looked at, that question, you got to understand when change is imminent, when change is important, and how to deal with change, manage change, if you're in Predictive or if you're in Agile. Talk about risk. Risk and governance is big. Understand the 5 strategies for positive risks or opportunities, the 5 strategies for negative risks or threats. Understand what it means to hybridize, right? Pages 27, 28, 29. Right about there in that book, you need to understand what hybridization is. Because you as a PMP, the PMI expects you to know when to hybridize. Not just Agile and Predictive, but also within Agile. How do you hybridize and mix those Agile approaches? It's talked about in the guide as well. What about inspect and adapt? Understanding that Scrum and other Agile frameworks are all about transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Managing all areas. So you got to be very conversant with knowledge areas, schedule, cost, scope, risk, procurement, and so on. And understand what it means to manage them and understand possible scenarios. Having an agile mindset is all about seeking to deliver incrementally and planning iteratively as much as possible. Understanding you're a problem solver. Don't kick the can down the road. No, really solve the problem. Don't twiddle your thumbs. Don't do any mother may I activity like going to ask, oh, may I be allowed to do this? Oh, mighty sponsor. No, don't do any of that. Just solve the problem. Be a problem solver. Offer solutions, not problems. So in the options, there's always going to be escalate to management. No, don't escalate. You're not a baby. You are a project management professional. All right. Next one is buy-in and authorization. You need to get buy-in. You need to seek buy-in, right? My mentor, he says, John Maxwell, he says, people buy into the leader first and then the vision. You got to get buy-in. So they got to buy into you, of course, as a leader, but they also need to buy into whatever you are trying to envision, right? So seek authorization and buy-in when necessary. There are going to be times when it's beyond your pay grade as the project manager. You got to go to that next level. Systematic and strategic. You got to see the big picture. You got to think systems thinking, big picture thinking, and that's really more integration. You got to be an integrator, being able to integrate all the parts of the project. Next one is the iron triangle and quality. You need to proactively build in quality. What is quality? Fitness for use, conformance to requirements, and customer satisfaction. What is quality assurance? It's really keeping those errors out of the process. What is quality control? It's keeping the errors out of the customer's reach. What is the cost of quality? Well, go look that up and understand how to bake in all of these QA, QC, being aware of the cost of quality, and being aware of some of the tools that you would use, especially the control chart like we read in the previous question. And don't forget closing, page 123 in. It wouldn't be complete if I didn't show it to you, this one, because you and I know that no one is using the 7th edition to study. Let's just get real with it. I know someone says, but Phil, how do I wrap my arm around the enormity of this? Look, I tell you, just get something like this, okay? This is called the Project Management Audio Digest. You find it on Praizion.com. You see Praizion.com over there, Praizion.com. Just go there, find this. You can get it. You can listen to it on the go. I have all sorts of fun stuff in there, jokes, stories. Before you know it, the thing is in your head. Why do you worry about cramming the book? Don't cram the book, just listen and absorb the language. It's that simple. Again, it's called a Project Management Audio Digest. It's just a simple tool that you can use to have fun and study as you go. All right, but don't forget page 123 in the 6th edition. You definitely need to read that, and all those bullets, trust me, they're not for naught. They're going to help you. Because when we talk about closing out in the world of predictive, it's very different. Like in this world, we're done with a sprint. Well, that's it. We did our retrospective last time, and this time it's different. You know, you're ready to go in the world of Agile. All right, so close each stage, iteration or phase, with a retrospective or lessons learned. And also understand what a stage gate is, what a phase end review is, phase exits, and so on. All right, into business. You got to understand these words kind of well because PMI likes their outcomes, and rightfully so, right? Value, benefits, revenues, these are all very good words. Product owner-esque kind of words, product owner-ish kind of words. And speaking of that, if you haven't checked out the product owner training that's happening, you probably want to go on down there and visit Praizion.com because we've got some stellar product owner training coming up, both the mindset and the tactical behaviors that product owners should exhibit. But when it comes to business, a lot of business is very similar to what product owners do. Because product owners are supposed to understand the business case, the benefits management plan. They're supposed to be boundary spanning and knowing what's happening in the market space. And they're supposed to be coming back and making tweaks to the backlog accordingly. So, 1, observe the environment. Respond to the external and internal environment. And the business environment, the marketplace is huge. You got to understand that and tweak your backlog accordingly. What about the organization impact? Understand the organization's impact on the project and navigate accordingly. Political mindedness and so on. Understand compliance. Proactively manage compliance before it hits you. Understand the concept of outcomes. Focus on outcomes over output. Outcomes, value, and benefits over output. Benefits. Proactively manage benefits and their realization. Another page that I would highly advise you to read, and PMI, they talk about business as being one of the prongs, one of the domains for this PMP exam. However, there is very poor awareness of where the business data is. You want to read pages 7 in this book to understand the concept of value, right, and benefits, right? Because when we talk about benefits, benefits is a net quantifiable value that a customer could experience from a product or an outcome. So when we talk about this, page 7 is going to help you understand tangible and intangible value. Pages 30 and 33 are also important. 30 to 33 will help you to understand the business case. 33 will help you to understand the benefits management plan. So understanding this language is huge for the business aspect. Having a sustainable community, a COP, community of practice, PMOs, and VDOs, value delivery offices, it helps you achieve the firm's strategic objectives and to grow. Remember that as a servant leader, one of your objectives is to help your organization grow and sustain the growth, to continue to grow, not to go back, but to continue to grow. Organization change. Set the stage for organizational change and build alliances. So you as a business leader, this is what you're supposed to do. Value swap is a big one. If you haven't read page 77 in this book, you should, because this is all about the contracts. So the concept of value swapping, you got to understand that. You got to understand what it means to value swap in an agile world, because that is what we thrive on in the world of agile. Instead of coming up with big old change orders and trying to railroad the poor client, instead we should value swap. Take out something of comparable value, put what they want in. That's the mindset. Lean thinking is big, cutting out the waste, eliminating waste at all levels, doing the difficult work of keeping the project as simple as possible. Remember, simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. That needs to be your watchword, just like the Agile Manifesto tells you. Project impact, assess the project's impact on the organization and navigate accordingly. Be obsessed with value, strategically plan the value delivery system. So in the 7th edition of the PMBOK guide, we have the value delivery system, which is understanding projects, programs, portfolios, and operations. They're all linked together, and we call it the value delivery system. And the goal is to deliver value. Yes, those exist in a wider environment, but the goal is to deliver value. So understand the concept of the value delivery system, which I've talked about on this channel a number of times. And last but not least, gating. Use toll gates, stage gates, kill points. There's someone who says projects, they'll eat you alive if you let them. The ugly projects. You got to kill what's ugly before it eats you up. And where do you do that? The kill point. That's where you kill the ugly projects before they eat you alive. You want to do it as early as possible. All right, my friends, we've come to the end of today's PMP exam reset. I hope you found value in this. Don't forget, we've got one-on-one coaching for you after you get certified or leading up to certification. If there are things that are buzzing around in your head, you got questions, you need someone who can give you the answers, all right? That's at Praizion.com. Don't forget, at Praizion.com, we also have Jira training, product owner training, leadership coaching, all sorts of great stuff. All right? Thanks for joining me. You take care. And if you got any questions, put them in the comments below. Bye for now.